I didn't tell my fiancé that I'd volunteered for the Christmas Eve overnight shift. After his mother banned me from their family's black tie fundraiser because my scrubs didn't fit the aesthetic. My phone lit up at 4:12 p.m. on December 19th. I was elbow deep in supply cabinets, restocking trauma kits, when my fiancé Marcus's name flashed across the screen. "Hey babe, quick thing." His voice had that polished smoothness he always used right before dropping something he knew would sting. "So, my mom's doing her annual holiday charity dinner at the Grand Regency this year. Super exclusive, black tie. You know how particular she is about these evenings?" Steph, I kept wiping down the metal counter. Phone pressed between my ear and shoulder. "Okay, well, she mentioned it might be smoother if you sat this round out. Just this once. She's got some major benefactors flying in, and you know how she gets about networking, chemistry, and all that. 3 years together, and I was still being hidden like a dirty secret. Did he really not see how wrong that was? Marcus, I've met your family at least 15 times. I know, but this is next level for her. She's pulled in nearly $3 million for the pediatric wing, and she just thinks he trailed off." "She thinks what?" He exhaled. "She thinks it might be awkward explaining your job to the donors." See, I looked down at my navy scrubs. Mercy General emergency embroidered across the chest. I'd just wrapped a 16-hour double. My lower back was screaming. There was still a faint rust-colored stain on my left sneaker from the multi-car pileup we'd handled at 3 a.m., explaining that I'm an ER nurse. She didn't phrase it like that. She said the donors are all tech CEOs and hedge fund guys who like to talk business. And she's worried you won't have much common ground with them. She's just trying to keep the night flowing. "For the children's hospital, the hospital where sick kids get treated by nurses," I said flatly. "Babe, come on, don't blow this up. Your mother is uninviting me from Christmas because of my job. She's not uninviting you from Christmas. We'll do dinner at my place. Just us. Siri, this is one event. Can you please just roll with it for me?" I closed my eyes. I'd heard this song before. Different verses, same melody. When his mom suggested I go back to school for something with more weight, when his sister asked if I'd ever considered medical device sales since I already understood the basics, when his dad inquired about whether my hospital offered decent retirement. "Fine," I said. "Whatever makes it easier. Thank you. I love you. I'll make it up to you. Promise." He hung up before I could answer. My coworker Jasmine appeared in the doorway holding 2 paper cups. "You look like you got ran over." Twice I took the coffee. "Marcus's mom doesn't want me at her holiday gala. Bad for the brand, I'm just a nurse." Jasmine snorted. "Just a nurse, right? We only restart hearts and catch babies in hallways." Very low-key stuff. THCs. Raising money for children's hospitals, though. The ironies apparently invisible to her. Jasmine leaned against the supply rack. These people love healthcare workers, in theory. In practice, disposable. You working Christmas Eve? Yeah. Holiday differentials, double time, and now I've got nothing better to do. Same. At least we can be miserable together. I managed a small smile. But what I didn't say was how deep the cut actually went. Not just his mother's rejection, but Marcus's quiet acceptance of it. 3 years, and he still wouldn't push back. 3 years, and he still saw me as someone to tuck away when the important people showed up. 6 days melted into a blur of back-to-back shifts. I picked up extra coverage anything to stop thinking about Christmas Eve. About sitting alone in Marcus's apartment while he clinked glasses with people his mother deemed worthy. December 24th. I rolled in at 5:30 p.m. for the overnight. The ER was already cooking. It always was on holidays. People who'd been ignoring chest pain finally caved when their families forced them. Cooking fires, flip handfalls on icy driveways. Stress-induced everything. Plus the usual DUI wrecks from early celebrations. By 9:45, we'd handled 2 cardiac arrests, a grease burn across someone's entire forearm, and a toddler who'd lodged a jingle bell so far up his nostril it took surgical tweezers to retrieve. Gade, I was running on caffeine and pure adrenaline. Then, at 10:52 p.m., the ambulance bay doors exploded open. Incoming, 50-year-old male, unresponsive, probable cardiac event. They were doing compressions inside the rig. I ran, we all did. That's what outsiders don't get about emergency medicine. When that call hits, nothing else exists. Not your aching feet. Not your personal dumpster fire. Not the fact that your future mother-in-law thinks you're a social embarrassment. Just the patient and the clock. They wheeled him past me. Custom suit, Italian leather shoes, platinum watch. Even unconscious and actively dying, he looked like money. Collapsed at some fancy event, the paramedic yelled, still pumping his chest. Grand Regency. Black tie thing. Someone there knew CPR, kept him going till we got here. The Grand Regency. Marcus's mother's gala. CA. This man had been at the exact event I'd been disinvited from. I shoved the thought into a lockbox. Didn't matter. Nothing mattered except that his heart had flatlined and we needed to shock it back. Crash cart. Now. Get cardiology on the line. I need an EKG stat. We worked like a pit crew. Every person locked in, every movement precise. I'd been doing this for 8 years. Sans 8 years of overnights and holiday pay and holding strangers' hands in their worst moments. 8 years of being just a nurse. Compressions, tube down, drugs pushed. Defibrillator charged, clear, his body arched. We stared at the monitor. Nothing flatline, charge 2-300, clear, beep, one beat, then another. Then a rhythm shaky, fragile, but there. We got him back. I stepped away, peeling off my gloves. My hands were trembling. They always did after a save. Adrenaline had to go somewhere. Third. Jasmine appeared next to me. Beautiful work. That was way too close. CEO. If whoever did CPR at that party hadn't known what they were doing, he'd be dead on arrival. She glanced at the chart. William Hartwell. Wait, that name's familiar. I looked. William Hartwell. CEO of Hartwell Technologies. Major VC megadonor. I'd seen his name on buildings across the city. The man I'd just pulled back from the edge had been at Marcus's mother's gala, had probably written a massive check to her foundation. Shepard was exactly the kind of person she wanted her son networking with, the kind of person more important than me. Something cold crystallized in my chest. Not quite anger, sharper, like clarity. I'm taking my break, I told Jasmine. I went to the break room, pulled out my phone, 3 texts from Marcus. Gala's insane. Mom raised $2.7 million. Wish you were here though, love you. Hey, one of the big donors just collapsed. Someone's doing CPR? Wild night? Steer. I stared at that last message. Someone was doing CPR. Someone had saved William Hartwell's life in that ballroom. And then we'd saved it again. Marcus had no idea I'd been part of it. No idea that while his mother schmoozed donors and collected checks for pediatric wings, actual healthcare workers were doing the real, messy, blood-in-our-sneakers work of keeping people breathing. I didn't text back, stuffed the rest of the shift with standard holiday chaos. By 7:15 a.m., I was running on fumes. I changed out of my scrubs, grabbed my bag, and headed for the garage. My phone rang. Marcus, Rachel, oh thank God, are you okay? I just heard that guy who collapsed at Mom's event last night. They took him to Mercy General to your Were you there? Did you see him? I unlocked my car door. Yeah, I was there. Is he okay? Everyone's been panicking. Huges, like a huge deal. William Hartwell. He basically funds half the startups in the state. He's stable. In the cardiac ICU, thank God, Mom was losing her mind. She thought he was going to die at her party. That would have been a disaster. A disaster. Not because a human being almost died. Because it would have looked bad. Good thing someone knew CPR, I said. Right? It was actually Mom's friend, Margaret. She took a class last year. She's basically a hero now. I closed my eyes. Seedy. Margaret did compressions for maybe 10 minutes. We worked on him for 52. But sure, Margaret's the hero. I gotta go, I said. I'm exhausted. Okay. Merry Christmas, babe. I'll swing by later with your gift. Sure. Merry Christmas. I drove home in silence, showered, fell into bed, but I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing William Hartwell's face, kept feeling his ribs compress under my palms. Second, kept hearing that monitor outline, kept thinking about Marcus's mother raising money for hospitals while sneering at the people who actually worked inside them. I must have eventually crashed because my phone woke me at 1:30 p.m. Unknown number. Hello, is this Rachel Chen? A woman's voice? Polished, professional, speaking? This is Angela Hartwell, William's daughter. I got your name from the hospital. See, you were one of the nurses who saved my father's life last night. I sat up. Yes, I was on the team. I wanted to call and thank you personally. The doctors told Miff your team hadn't acted as fast as you did. Her voice cracked. He wouldn't have made it. You gave me my father back. You gave my kids their grandfather. My throat tightened. I'm glad we could help. How's he doing? Better, awake, complaining about the food, which they say is a great sign. She laughed, shaky. CD, he wants to thank you himself. I know you must be exhausted. Can I come by tomorrow? Of course. Thank you. Really. After we hung up, I lay back down and stared at the ceiling. Marcus came over at 6 p.m. with Chinese takeout and a wrapped box. Merry Christmas. He kissed my forehead. You look wrecked. Long shift. We ate. He talked about the gala, the donors. His mother's record-breaking fundraising. I half listened. Sixcent. Oh, hey, guess what? William Hartwell woke up today. He's gonna be fine. Mom is so relieved. He already promised to double his donation to the foundation. That's great. His daughter apparently called the hospital to thank everyone. Real class act from what Mom said. He reached across the table for my hand. Open your gift. I unwrapped it. A bracelet. Delicate. Expensive. Beautiful. Sector Marcus, this is too much. You deserve it. I know Christmas was weird this year, but next year will be different. I promise. I looked at him. Really looked at this man I'd been with for 3 years, who loved me but still let his mother sideline me, who had no idea I'd saved William Hartwell's life and probably never would. State, because it wouldn't occur to him that I was capable of something that important. We need to talk. His face fell. Those are never good words. Your mother uninvited me from her gala. You didn't stand up for me. You just accepted it. Rachel, we've been over this. It was one night. It's not about one night. It's about your family never respecting what I do and you, never making them. That's not fair. State, they just don't understand healthcare. Your mother raises millions for children's hospitals. Marcus, she understands healthcare enough to profit from it, socially. She just doesn't respect the people who actually do the work. She respects you. She thinks I'm an embarrassment. She thinks my job is beneath your family, and you agree with her. I don't. Then why wasn't I at that gala? He stood up, frustrated, scared, because I wanted one night where we didn't have to explain things. One night where I didn't watch you get uncomfortable when people ask what you do and then change the subject. One night where things were just easy. The silence that followed was deafening. Easy, I repeated. I make things difficult. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. I stood up. You know who collapsed at your mother's event? William Hartwell. See, I saved his life. Me and my team. We brought him back. We're the reason he's alive to double his donation. We're the reason his daughter still has a father. We're the reason his grandkids didn't lose their grandfather on Christmas morning. Staring, Marcus stared at me. What? I was working the shift when they brought him in. I was running the code. Me, the embarrassing nurse. The one not worth explaining to donors. Rachel, I didn't know. No, you didn't. Because you didn't ask. You didn't think to ask if I'd been part of saving him because it never occurred to you that I could be part of something that important. I'm just a nurse. Just someone with a decent paycheck, but not enough prestige for your mother's country club friends. State, that's not true. Be honest, Marcus. Fuck if I was a doctor. Would your mother have uninvited me? He opened his mouth, closed it. That was my answer. I took off the bracelet, set it on the table. I think you should go, Rachel. Come on, we can work through this. Can we? Because I don't think your mother's going to suddenly start respecting nurses. And I don't think you're going to suddenly start standing up to her. And I'm not spending the rest of my life being hidden away whenever it's convenient. So what? 3 years and you're just giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm choosing myself. Finally, he left. I sat in the silence of my apartment and cried. Not because I doubted my decision, but because 3 years still meant something, even when they weren't the right 3 years. Sometimes choosing yourself feels like loss, but it's really the first win. The next day, I visited William Hartwell at the hospital. He was sitting up, looking remarkably sharp for someone who'd technically been dead for several minutes. Rachel Chen, he said, reaching for my hand. The woman who saved my life. I was part of a team, Mr. Hartwell. Please, call me Will. And I know you were part of a team. I've had about 20 different doctors and nurses in here. Single one said you were the one who kept me together while they stabilized me. He squeezed my hand. Thank you, truly. His daughter Angela was there, plus 2 teenagers, his grandkids. They all thanked me. The kids hugged me. I tried not to cry. The doctors say I need changes, Will said. Less stress, more sleep, actual vacations. Apparently, collapsing at charity galas is my body's way of saying I've been overdoing it. That sounds like good advice. I also heard the woman who did CPR on me, Margaret, something only knew how because of a class funded by a grant I gave to the community center last year. He smiled. Funny how that circles back. I fund CPR training. Someone uses it on me, then your team finishes the job. It's a good system when it works. You know what else is a good system? He leaned back. Proper funding for emergency services. Proper staffing. Proper pay for the nurses who save lives. I've been on Mercy General's board for years. Fuck mostly writing checks and nodding at meetings. But I think I've been looking at the wrong things. Buildings matter. Equipment matters. But the people matter more. People like you. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. Same, I'd like to do something for you. For saving my life. Name it. I thought about it. Money. He'd probably write a check. A promotion. He could make a call. But neither felt right. The ER needs more staff, I said. We're chronically understaffed. Nurses are burning out and leaving. If you want to help fund nursing positions, competitive pay, real benefits, make it so we can actually take care of patients without destroying ourselves. He nodded slowly. Done. I'll talk to the board next week. We'll create a fund specifically for ER nursing retention. The Rachel Chen Emergency Nursing Fund. You don't have to name it after me. I want to. You saved my life. The least I can do is make sure you and others like you can keep saving lives without sacrificing yourselves. I left the hospital feeling lighter than I had in months. Maybe years. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. Rachel, this is Cynthia Whitmore Marcus's mother. I think we should talk, okay? I said carefully. I heard about William Hartwell. That you were part of the team who saved him. I was. Will called me yesterday. He's on the foundation board. He told me about your conversation. About the nursing fund he's creating. He was extremely impressed by you. That's kind of him. Pause. He also mentioned you were Marcus's fiancé, that you'd been together 3 years. I didn't realize you were that serious. Of course she didn't, because she'd never bothered to actually know me. I said, we're not anymore. Oh, Marcus didn't mention another pause. I owe you an apology. Will made it quite clear I was foolish to exclude you. He said anyone capable of saving his life was more than worthy of any event. He was quite forceful about it. You don't need to apologize because William Hartwell told you to. You're right. I should apologize because it was wrong. I made assumptions about you, about your career that weren't fair. I've spent so much time around executives and investors that I forgot the real important work is done by people like you. People who actually save lives, instead of just writing checks. Zippered isn't measured by who invites you to their table. It's measured by who you lift off the floor. I appreciated the words, even though I knew she only said them now because someone she considered important had told her to. Is there any chance you and Marcus might reconcile? He's been miserable. I don't think so. Marcus is a good person. But he needs to figure out what he actually believes, instead of just going along with what's easy. DNO. Until he does that, we won't work. That's fair and mature. You're clearly better than what my son gave you credit for. After we hung up, I texted Marcus. Your mom called. I appreciate the apology, but we're still done. I hope you find someone who fits into your world better than I did. Take care, he texted back immediately. You fit fine. I was the one who didn't. Maybe that was true. Maybe he'd grow from this. I hoped he would. 3 weeks later, I was back on shift when the ER administrator came to find me. Rachel, can you step into my office? I followed her, running through every possible reason I might be in trouble. She sat down, gestured for me to do the same. I have good news. The hospital board just approved a major funding increase for ER nursing. They're creating 12 new full-time positions all, with significantly better pay and benefits than the current standard. Third, that's incredible. It's thanks to William Hartwell. He's personally funding what he's calling the Rachel Chen Emergency Nursing Excellence Fund, $8 million over 5 years, specifically for ER nursing recruitment and retention. She smiled. He also specifically requested that you be promoted to charge nurse with a substantial raise. If you're interested, $8 million. 12 new positions. CA promotion. I'm interested, I said. Good, you've earned it. And Rachel, thank you for saving Will's life, for advocating for better staffing, for being exactly the kind of nurse we need leading this department. Steck! I walked out of her office and back into the ER. Jasmine was at the nurse's station. You okay? You look like you saw a ghost. I just got promoted to charge nurse, and Will Hartwell is funding 12 new nursing positions. Jasmine's eyes went wide. You're kidding. Dead serious. Holy crap. Rachel, she hugged me. We're gonna have actual backup. Actual staffing. We might get to take lunch breaks. Crazy concept, right? But I was smiling. Theories. That night, I worked my shift with a lightness I hadn't felt in years. Not because of the promotion, though. That was wonderful. Not because of the vindication, though. I'd be lying if I said that didn't feel good. But because I'd chosen myself. I'd set a boundary and held it. I'd walked away from someone who couldn't see my value and I'd found it myself instead. 6 months later, the new nurses started. The ER ran smoother than it had in a decade. I was good at being charge nurse, it turned out. Good at managing people, at advocating for my staff, at making sure we had what we needed. Will Hartwell stopped by sometimes. Checking on his investment, he always thanked me again. His daughter Angela and I became actual friends. She was a corporate lawyer, brilliant and funny, and we got coffee every few weeks. Then, Marcus sent me a text on what would have been our 4-year anniversary. I'm sorry I couldn't be who you needed. You deserved better. I hope you're happy. I texted back, I am. I hope you are too. And I meant it. CRE, because I was happy. Fifthford, not because I'd gotten revenge, though there was something satisfying about his mother having to face her own prejudices. Not because I'd been proven right, though that helped, but because I'd finally learned that my worth wasn't determined by who accepted me into THEI world. It was determined by the lives I saved, the people I helped, the work I did every single day. I was just a nurse, and that was enough. More than enough. CD was the revenge justified. Yes, though calling it revenge misses the point. Rachel didn't destroy anyone. She simply refused to shrink. The revenge was her success, her promotion, her fund, all earned, not stolen. The mother had to eat her words, but that was a consequence, not cruelty. Rate the revenge, 7 out of 10. Impactful but non-destructive.